Great. Welcome, everybody. So I'm just going to do a brief introduction. I'm Nathan Turner. I'm the Vice President for Communications for the IMA. And until recently, as you can tell from my hairline, I was an ECM, but I'm not anymore. But I'm still invited to things like this, which is nice. So yeah, welcome to everybody, IMA members and otherwise. Tonight we're going to be hosting an evening with you. The ECM community, the early career mathematicians from the IMA are here to talk to you about what the ECM is all about, how you might be able to get involved in it, what sort of projects they've got on the go at the moment, and what they've got going on in the future. So there's lots to get involved in person and online. Really exciting part of the IMA. And then afterwards, Karrie Liu is going to do a quick introduction. I'll introduce her afterwards. So I'll hand over to the ECM committee to get started.
Go on, Robyn.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Robyn, and I'm the newly appointed chair of the Early Career Mathematicians Committee at the IMA. I am joined over there by Tom and James, and we're meant to be joined by Paige, our events leader. Unfortunately, she is unwell today, so we'll have to keep going without her. But yeah, as Nathan said, myself and Tom and James are going to talk to you a little bit about what we are doing and what we have in the works. But first, I thought I'd introduce you to the rest of our committee. So this is our new committee for 2024. Along the top four, we have our new members bringing fresh ideas and perspectives. And then along the bottom, we have some returning members. We also have Edward there who supports us a lot. Had to include him. And yeah, other people we can't get rid of, like James and Tom over there. No worries. So our committee is made up of all early career members, obviously, but people from industry as well as academia, and at different stages of their career or their early career. So we have students in undergrad. We also have PhD students, such as myself and Kat. We have postdocs, such as Jack. We have people teaching, and also lecturers like James and Tom. So yeah, we span a lot of sectors: academia, teaching, industry, as well as different stages. And yeah, I'm really excited to be the chair of this committee. I think we have a very strong committee this year, so I hope you'll stick around and see what we achieve. Okay. Oh no! Spoiler! Okay, just pretend you didn't see that. But we'll just play along with me, okay? But I thought to help you get to know us a little bit better, we do a very informal quiz. So at this point, I'd like to ask you, if you don't know the person next to you or the group around you, just to say hi, introduce yourselves, and they are your new team members for this very informal, casual quiz. Okay. Okay, awesome. So now we're all acquainted. Cool. So now we're all acquainted. Yeah, so this one's quite difficult. So really put your heads together for this one. But the first question is, which previous ECM committee member became IMA president? Any volunteers? It's a toughie. Okay, so I'm scared it's going to click too far. Yeah, this is, of course, Naira, who was the chair of the Early Career Mathematicians Committee and was also the IMA president. Okay. Amazing. Now, moving on. Which committee member, there are our faces and our names here just to remind you, did Peter Andre once buy a donut for? The Peter Andre, Australian pop icon, Peter Andre. Interesting. Okay. Oh, what a consensus. Anyone else? Any other ideas? Paige? I'd buy a donut for Paige. But actually, yeah, you were right, James. And we all know what we're going to be asking James later on in the networking session. Okay.
Was it nice? I don't know. I don't remember. It was jam, but yeah, that's what I've got for you. Sorry.
Okay, now this one is in here just to convince you how amazing our committee are, because this is insane. So which ECM committee member has had a rugby stadium named after them?
Surname?
Whole name, full name. It's a big stadium. It was temporarily named after them. It's not still named after them, but
How long ago?
I don't know.
We're doing what's it called? Elimination of the chances. Ed can delete that. And then
Oh. Jack? Interesting. Anybody else? Catherine? Interesting. I think you thought Catherine as well. Something about Catherine making you think she has a rugby stadium named after her. Hamilton. Okay. Okay. It's actually Kat Phillips. She's our new engagement leader.
It was Swansea.
Yeah, she's a big rugby fan. And she still has merch that has her name on it. And it says the Kat Phillips Stadium. Or Katie Phillips Stadium. But yeah. So that's Kat. Okay, which committee member has met or did meet Queen Elizabeth II? And there's an extra point, or maybe an extra 1,000,000 points, if you can guess where.
the toilet.
That's not a bad guess, to be fair. Emma? She made a cake for it. It does look like it.
Jack's actually outside of the house.
Anybody else got any ideas? Paige seems like she'd get a donut and meet the Queen.
I think it was you, Robyn.
Me? Oh. Yeah, it could be. No? Okay. It's Tom! And
You know where?
Yeah, go on.
So I met her on Scunthorpe High Street. Generally.
What, just walking along the street?
Yeah, doing shopping.
Just doing a bit of shopping.
Yeah, she came to open something, like one and only time we've had royalty in Scunthorpe.
Right.
Yeah, was it? I was like 7. Like, I think it's clouds. I said one word. It's a lot.
Did you say we're shopping?
now I feel like it's just whose meeting do you value more, Peter Andre's or the Queen's?
Only both still alive.
Well, true. Yeah. And James got a donut, yeah. Okay. Keeping on the royal theme, which committee member has met the King of Spain?
Just realised.
Yeah, it was Edward. Was it in Scunthorpe High Street?
It was the past conference, actually.
Okay.
Okay. So he came to open the conference.
Wow.
Which king was it?
Okay, how many nominations did the ECM committee receive in the most recent elections across the 3 roles that were up for election? You were in those emails, Nick. No, not double digits.
At least 3.
At least 3, yep.
7.
Any other guesses? 5 up. No, down. No, a little bit lower. Nick was close with 7, it's 8. But we also got 3 nominations for the diversity lead, which isn't included in the election. So then we made double digits. Sorry?
Who's that person, by the way? It's a new person. Yeah, who is it?
Leanna Payne. Okay. Which of these is not the subject of a Graham Hoare/Catherine Richards Prize winning Mathematics Today article written by an early career mathematician? The first one is arguing with your insurance company, cycling around the world, making a cup of tea, or betting on a football game.
Betting on football.
Can we reach a consensus? Who's been reading their maths today? Back to front. Any ideas? What's the vote? Football? Oh, we want to split. Okay. This side wins. I made that up. Not yet, there isn't an article about cycling around the world, but you never know, next year. But yes, in 2023, we had one about betting on football. 2022, we had one about challenging an insurance company's decision, an estimation on wind speed. The year before, something rubbish, don't need to read that. But the year before that, we had one about making a cup of tea. But yeah. Okay, this is the last question of our quiz. How many years this year have the IMA ECM Committee been active? Yeah, on 3? Anybody? I bet everybody knows. Everybody knows. 20! Yeah, and we'll be celebrating this all year, but especially at the event later this year. Okay, thank you. I'm going to pass on, I think, to you, Tom.
Yeah, I feel like mine's a right letdown compared to the quiz, isn't it? I've just got a slide. Okay, so... Oh, thank you. I've got one slide, so... But, yeah, hi everyone. So, as I say, I'm going to sort of now be a bit more boring and tell you a little bit about what we've been doing over the last couple of years and what we're hoping to achieve in the next few. So I'm going to focus on the sort of academia and teaching side of things, the things that we've done as a committee to support that sort of industry. So we previously had a lot of conferences. So we had an autumn and a spring conference, but especially with COVID, things sort of changed. The demand for that sort of began to wane a little bit. And we seemed to get more interest in sort of shorter, snappier events. So we began to sort of breadthen the different things that we do and come up with a series of different events. So one of them that we have done in the last couple of years is the idea exchange. So this was for us to introduce people who are new to teaching maths and statistics in higher education, to introduce them to the different bodies that sort of support that discipline. So we've had representation from the IMA, the LMS, but also the Royal Statistical Society, Telmo, the Sigma Network, Kettle MSOR. So we've had quite a lot of involvement in that event. So we've also got the BAMC Icebreaker. So this is an event before the BAMC conference for early career members to get to know each other, maybe make some connections across the community, get to know some new people. We've got the ECM seminar series, so we've got people from different prize winners presenting. So we've had people who have won the Graham Hoare Prize, so Robyn. But we've also had people who've won the Lighthill Prize, and we've got more of those coming up in the next year. But also then we've moved into sort of the virtual maths tea space. So we've had some on coding. So there was The Good, the Bug, and the Undefined. I think that's my favourite title I've ever heard. But we've also had ones about if you're in your PhD, about moving into your early career and how you do that and what options are out there. And this year we've got some specifically for teaching. So we've got one on AI in assessment coming up, which I imagine the AI in assessment will be very neutral. People's opinions will be pretty much the same. There'll be no controversy at all. I've sort of stepped into what we were planning this year, but we've got the Bank Icebreaker again this year, so we're up in Newcastle in a couple of weeks' time. The Ideas Exchange went really well last year, so we've split that up this time. So we're going to run a series of events this year, mainly focusing on that first aspect about getting people to know the different bodies that support maths pedagogy. We've also got some more seminar series. So we've got presenters from, again, the Graham Hall Prize. We've got from the Lighthill Prize coming up. And I've already sort of mentioned the Maths Tea for this year. But we've also now got the undergraduate video competition coming up this year. So opportunity for undergraduates to submit projects that they've done and sort of get some recognition for that. So what are our aspirations then for moving forward? So obviously the IMA's just released the mentoring scheme, which is really great to see. And something that we've seen, especially at the Ideas Exchange, was that people were attending things, but then you could see this sort of desire for sort of support afterwards. So we're hoping to sort of engage with that process, get people who maybe attend the Ideas Exchange to then sign up to the mentoring to get support as they move into sort of their early career. And I've mentioned that we want to split the Ideas Exchange into multiple events. So we want to have one specifically on the tips for teaching maths, but also for teaching sort of in the sort of service teaching. It's different to teach people who are on a maths degree versus those who are doing maths as part of another course, say pharmacy or say chemistry. So we'd like to sort of expand into that region and see how can we support ECMs who are in that sort of domain. We've got a workshop coming up in a few weeks about digital tools in academia. So how can we sort of solve problems that we might see in sort of the new HE landscape? How can we solve them with digital tools? So if we've got a large cohort, how can we use digital tools to promote engagement with everyone? And then we've got a PhD projects fair. So the idea of this is where supervisors can sort of almost like pitch their PhDs to those looking to take a PhD. And sort of PhD students then could also ask and interact with the projects before deciding whether that's for them. But I think that's all from me, and I'm going to hand over to James. Yeah, so. You want to click the button?
I'll take the clicker. Thank you. Thanks, Tom. So I have the pleasure of talking to you about industry, and I'm a university lecturer, so please take this with a pinch of salt. I'm covering for Paige, right? So please call me Paige, and I'll try my best to answer. As Tom said, you can see that there is a large and distinct amount of events that we've done for academia, and now we're branching into this teaching space. And there is sort of distinct lack of anything that we're doing for industry. And that's what makes the IMA, unique, right? It's this industrial side of what we can offer. And as the ECM committee, we thought, can we do more? So we tried to do more at the conferences, but we just weren't getting that traction. What people were interested in academia is not necessarily what people may be interested in industry, right? So we tried that. It didn't work out. We're doing more maths teas now. Maths teas seem to be things like lunch and learns, that you may call it in industry, more attractive sessions. And, we have some of those going on. There will be more in the future, things like what would you do if you wanted to go into a new position, like things like interviewing as an ECM, these types of things we're trying to cover. But the planned things are a bit more exciting, like what are we going to be doing and what are our aspirations? And these are all high level, right? We're still working on these quite hard to try and find, the right space for them. But essentially, other than more maths teas, we've got a podcast, which is actually being led by Nathan, and that will be coming out soon. It's to talk about the skills that, as an undergraduate or just a postgraduate, what would you like to have in industry, right? What were the key things? And we're going to be asking people who are around the industry who are very high ranking to think about what they did and why they did them, right? So I can see Karrie pointing at me saying she wants to be on the podcast, so maybe. We've got the strong maybe. We've got the ideathon and mini sandpits, so like giving access to undergraduates who maybe don't want to go into academia. Like, what does it actually mean to work in industry? Like trying to use those. And the IMA is very fortunate to have quite a lot of very strong corporate affiliates. And potentially that's one avenue we can use to try and access with them, give undergraduates the opportunity to work with them and see, like, is this actually something I want to do, and explore the fields in this capacity. And then we've got this What is a Series, right? And it's not literally what is a series, it's what is a blank, right? So we'll talk about that. So this could be, for example, what is a maths consultant, right? Maybe you're interested in learning about that, or insert some other industry title, right, that I don't know about. But it's going to be something like that. It's a webinar. We'll have people there who know, sort of like have been in the industry for a while. You can ask them questions about like what it is that they did, why do they enjoy it, things like that. But it's to try and really allow for other early career mathematicians to engage with industry in easier manners, rather than just via recruitment, right? Because that seems to be the main way to try and find yourself around the industry. It's like really recruitment, and we want to try and remove that step. You don't need to go via recruitment to find information out. Maybe you want to learn more before you go to recruitment. That's the sort of thing we're trying to solve here. And our aspirations are much larger. Networking sessions here is like, can we meet up with someone like DSTL, for example, when they get their new graduate cohort in? Can we do icebreakers for them, try and, like, as the IMA group, try and help them with their transition from being, as an undergraduate, into industry, and preparing them for that, and like trying to help with this. We've got career development support, so this may be things like writing CVs, how to go do interviews, but actually training, so closer to CPD. And then careers and employability fair. This is not similar to what you might think it is. It's similar in the sense of it's going to be an employability fair, but it's not aimed at graduates, right? Most of what you may see is that everything's aimed at graduates, but what if you're not a graduate anymore? What if you've been in the field for 2 years and you want to change field? Like, do you go to a graduate fair? Like, it seems like a place that may not be welcoming for you, and that's what we're trying to solve here. It's like you're a couple of steps on. An early career mathematician spans quite a lot of your career, and you're only a graduate once. So can we try and do something which involves more industry and try and get more interaction? I'll be around to answer any questions about industry, but what I may be like, email me, and then I'll forward that to Paige and be like, Paige, but I'm around. So if anyone is interested in any of these, then please do let me know. So I also have the pleasure of talking about our EDI strategy. So this is it. That's the events rise now. So we're talking a bit more about heuristically what it is that we're going to try and do. And you can tell that, so Paige has put together most of these slides, and I put this one together because it's hectic, right? So in the last sort of couple of years, we put a new role in, which is this diversity and inclusion leader. It's something that the committee felt very strongly about, particularly to get in line with what the IMA is trying to do with this EDI committee. What I've done is I've made bold the important words, if you can read them. But essentially, it's to make sure that the ECM committee works in line with wider IMA events and sort of like rules and responsibilities. It's to engage and encourage ECMs and try and do a lot more to diversify us and what we can try and do. Right? It's a 2-year position in office, if up to 2 years, if you want that. And so it's somewhere where you can come in and have some big ideas, and you can actually get the opportunity to work with them. We did some events which were EDI related. That's what this big picture is here. So you can imagine this is like a breakout room where you've got these different topics. There is some information. So these groups here in the center, this LMS, RSS, and IMA, that's sort of like us and equivalent of us. And the LMS is more about funding. So it's trying to expose to people what is out there as part of your community. And some topics, it's all on the web, and I can leave a link for you if you're interested in that. But there were some really interesting topics that we did that were talking about maths and EDI. We'll be doing more maths teas. You can see there's a very clear theme here. We like maths teas. But the thing that I sort of want to mention is this bit below. So the members of the EDI committee, so myself, Tom, Paige, and Charlotte. And Stu and Lena are like members of the EDI committee, and we're really proud to be here. Howard has very fortunately joined us here, which is great. Especially he is our EDI champion. So, you know, if you actually want to learn anything about EDI, like come and speak to me, and I'm going to pass you on to Howard. But yeah, it's just something to say here is that we're very proud to sort of be involved in a lot of these things. And it's really encouraging for the IMA and for us to sort of say, we want to be part of this EDI wave and we want to sort of lead it. And then finally, we've got this new venture, this IMA activity and badge, and it's all about outreach and trying to update our outreach. And this is Paige's idea, and it's to try and do things like a maths scout badge. Right? There is a big, I'm sure most of you have seen, but there is this large issue in the mathematics community for very young mathematicians who are very anti-maths. Right? They have this setup where they're anxious about maths, don't want to do it. If we can inform and try and help with these things like via Scouts, try and keep people engaged in maths, we actually may see quite a substantial change, and that's something that Paige is really working hard on. I think that's it from me. I think I'm passing that to Robyn now. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions going forward.
Thank you. Yep, so I'm just going to talk about our subgroup strategy. So this is something the committee started talking about last year and is now implementing this year. And basically, we want to form these subgroups to reach out to our wider ECM community. So currently, we have 2 subgroups that have just been formed, one for events and one for communication, and they're led by a member of our committee. And yeah, the idea for these really is to increase our efficiency, but also get lots of new ideas involved and in practice easier. And the idea is that people can be part of the subgroup without committing 3 years of their life to the committee. As you can probably tell by our dark circles, it's a big commitment. And people sometimes just want to come in and say, look, I really want this. Can we do this? And this is a great way to do that. You also saw in our quiz earlier that we had quite a high number of nominations this year for our elections, and some positions had at least 3 candidates, and we don't want to lose those other candidates. We had amazing candidates this year. It wasn't easy to nominate or to elect, so we don't want to lose people like that or have them be disinterested in the IMA. We want to get them involved, and so the subgroup is a way to do that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say on subgroups, and this is kind of a big strategy change in how our committee is running this year that we're really excited about. And if anyone in this room would like to be in a subgroup or would like to learn more about the subgroups, please come and talk to us, and that would be great. The final thing we have to ask from you before we pass over to Karrie is we would really love to know what you think of what we're doing. A lot of you have lots of experience, or you're exactly the community we're trying to reach out to. So we have a couple of prompts here, and this QR code leads you to a Padlet where you can write your thoughts down. We'd love to know why you joined the IMA in the first place, so we can try and target what we're doing to suit you. Also, what events we could run. Essentially, what events you would like to see. So yeah, if you have time, please scan this and let us know, or just give us any feedback about anything we've said tonight. We'll be more than happy to receive it. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you very much to the committee for that. The guys are going to be around all evening, so feel free to mingle and chat to them. There's quite a few other members of the IMA team here as well tonight. So feel free to introduce yourself to everybody, have a good chat and find out more. I'll hand you over now to Karrie Liu, who's going to talk about her experiences of being an ECM and, like me, sort of graduating a bit from it.
So yeah, hi everyone, my name is Karrie. So a majority will know who I am because I've been in the ECM for quite a while, and then now I'm doing something else with the IMA. So where should I start? Should I start very beginning? So I am a girl who come to UK to do my A-level. And before that, I was in Hong Kong, and then I do my A-level, and then basically do my undergrad in York University. So during that time, to be honest, no clue what I'm going to do. So in the time, not like you guys, young and beautiful, that got like internet and things like that. No, we don't have internet at the time that I do in university. I know hard to believe, but no. You still, we need to still queuing in the library to queue for the, I don't know if any of you remember, but the time that when I go to uni is, I need to go to university and then queuing up for the computer room and then wait for people coming out, and then you can use the internet, and then you still need to homework, you need to print it out. So it's that kind of era that. So what I'm trying to say is that at that moment of time, data science is not a big thing. It's not even a thing, to be honest. And then I really big certainty is I'm not going to stay in uni forever. I mean, no judgment for you guys that who go into university is fine, but it does not talk to me, if that makes sense. So that is that. The other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to work in finance. And another really strong no. The reason is, I don't know, is because I'm coming from a culture that they're measuring success with money a lot. And I'm quite rebellion on that front. I'm like, I can be successful, I just don't want to do finance, it's just not me. So I don't want to do accounting because it's boring as well. And then I don't want to do teaching because young children drive me nuts. See, I didn't swear, see, I say nuts. Yeah, so there is like a lot of, it's like if you think about the traditional sense about like mathematics undergrad, I kind of running out of option, like what I'm going to do. And then during the first year of my university, my grandmother in Hong Kong who passed away on the ambulance. That is the moment that I kind of have a direction that why I want to do what I want to do. I want to work in healthcare, but obviously I'm not a clinician, I'm not a biologist. I just know math. Just that is the thing that I know. But any other thing, I'm just like, don't talk to me. I no clue what you guys are talking about. So that is the decision that I make is I want to do something related to healthcare. So NHS is kind of the moment that I go into. To be honest, when I applied for a job in NHS or Department of Health, I didn't even know analyst is a job. I just know that they're just saying that, any people from science subject apply for it. And I apply for it, and then they let me in, and then they're like, oh, do you want to stay with us? So yeah, so that is the how I starting is in there for about a year. I realized that actually I'm quite good at math. I shouldn't say that. And also quite good at Excel spreadsheet. I know, sound really weird, but you're like, okay, there is never experience before. I finally got a moment to do it. And then after a year, I shouldn't say that. Promise I'm not swearing, but I shouldn't say that. But I want to stay in UK, but I cannot because I don't have the work visa. So that is why I go back to university to do my first master. And that is the reason why that I do a master related to healthcare analytics. At that moment of time, they got something called a maths with modern applications. So it's linked to our programming majority of time. So now if you're looking at our programming, it's like old-fashioned now, but at that moment in time, it's like, up and coming kind of thing. So I did a course about it, I really enjoy it, and then afterward, I stay in UK using the post-study visa to stay on, and then I really enjoy staying in NHS. So for that 10 years, I basically got promotion every year in that period of time. Really enjoying it, really good at math, really good at everything, but, well, not everything, math, but I don't know what else I can do. So that is where the beginning of LinkedIn as well, 2011. LinkedIn suddenly popped up. I know Dan don't do that. I know LinkedIn is not your thing, but nowadays LinkedIn is stuff, right? So I go to LinkedIn and basically looking at people who got a maths degree and what they do. And then I realized that someone got something called C Math. I have no idea what the hell is that. I just know that, hang on a minute, it's not a PhD, it's not a master's degree, it's not anything. What is chartered mathematician? So again, Google it. Find out that actually it's about people who use math in their job for 7 years, then you can apply for the status of it. I mean, you need to prove that you use math every day, kind of that. So I managed to do that. I got this, so I'm in the beginning of the early career mathematician group. So, and then I realized that they got a mini group called early mathematician, as well as a big people group that got council and everything. And then you're looking at people like, oh, everyone got a PhD and doctorate and stuff. You're like, are they happy for me to mingle around? And I'm like, you guys seems to be too high level. I feel really frightened to talk to you guys. So what I did is, well, what about I just check out the early career mathematician group to see what they make of. And also, after I working in the industry, the people that who wanted to talk about mathematics is going to very limited. The reason why for that is, one, if I talk math all the time, they think you're geeky, which doesn't look good. Second, being a girl, you always got that kind of like, if you being a girl and talking about math, you're already working with coding a lot. So you're already being a minority group or a minority group. And then if you're talking about math more, they would just like, you are super weird, I don't want to talk to you. So I'm like, okay. But the thing is, you still have that kind of curiosity about mathematics. Nothing, how do you say, not necessarily about the subject about healthcare or statistics and things like that, not about work, but it's just generally speaking, what is the fun story about math? Like, what, we use math every day because for me, I'm a type of person that number taught to me far than word, so that is why that I find it really interesting to find out more. But after you go to uni, you don't have that kind of routine or group that you're like, oh, I still want to learn, but I don't want to sit down in the lesson or lecture or exam and things like that. I don't like, but I do want to learn about math more. So I realized that is a magazine. I learned a lot of things about that magazine. But I mean, sometimes, don't get me wrong, I have no clue about the mathematics that they're talking about because it's too deep. But some of the story that in it, you're like, how to make a cup of tea, that one of the story that in ECM doc is really cool because it's like, how can you link that with mathematics? And then nowadays, because of data science getting more popular and popular, so that become more easy to digest to people that you're a mathematician. So for that, I'm always grateful. So, I mean, being a career girl, you want to stand out too. So getting this chartered mathematician made me look cool, very cool. Yeah, and then after that, after I got that, I got interviewed by the magazine. Oh, that is a really lovely story about that, actually. So I got interviewed by the Mathematics Today. They put online. Someone from Queen's Mary University found me online. He said to me, we are looking for someone to be the advisory board in University of York math department. And I checked I have looked at your article in the Maths Today. Will you be interested to join as an industry representative? I look at the email, first thing is, no way, it's spam. Second is because at that moment, I'm from University of York. So basically, it's like, how can you go someone from Queen Mary University and talk to me about York University, right? That just doesn't really happen. And then me being me, firstly, Google him. Actually, it's a real person. Got a picture too. Like, okay, that is real. The next thing I did is I contacted York University, my supervisor in York Uni. What the hell is your advisory board? Never heard about that before. Then I'm like, oh, then he explained to me what is that. Secondly, who is that person who's looking for me? Never heard of him before. Oh, did you know he is really famous in the math industry? Do you not know about that? I'm like, do I look like I know about him? Really? So for me, it's really, really, really grateful. I got to sit in that advisory board for 3 years as an industry that advisory that coming in to talk about. We look at the what is it called? The curriculum to see how that is appropriate, and also I got a voice to the table that way. I don't think you're teaching it right. So, and also I meet the people representative during that 3 years. And what I find is because at that moment of time, I'm still young and beautiful. So basically similar age to the university student. And they say that they find it easier to talk to me than the board because they look, I'm sorry, I don't want to use the old word, but you know what I mean? They're more senior and more experienced. I'm just a tiny little girl that look more like appropriate to their age. So they kind of like, because they know that I'm trying to help them and kind of bitch them. So that 3 years, I learned something I never learned as a mathematician. How can I improve them? And also how to teach math to not just undergrad, but also people at work that who have A-level or know math a little bit better than others. So how can I do that? Because like you guys said before, it's like math is everywhere, but how can we use it? How can we make it like daily life? That is another thing. So I've been there for 3 years, very excited and happy and look good on my CV, still good on my CV too, because people always say, oh, you're in the advisory group before. Great. So that, and then afterward, joined the early career mathematician group as a chair. That 3 years, let's just say, we got up and down, high and low. Some weird thing happened, some not so good thing happened, and then also some really good thing happened. So during that 3 years, because like I said, I really like math and really want to learn math as well. So I joined a group that of people that who really love math and don't think that I'm crazy about talking math, so it's great. So that so like you guys said before, we used to have 2 different ECM conference, like proper in-person conference before. So during that time, also good because you're really talking about math that you never touch and also just listen. And going to the conference, you always think that that is an academic thing. So there is another thing that you look cool because, you know, I still going to the conference and I sometimes understand what they're talking about, not all the time, sometimes. So during the time in there, I met a lot of great people. Nathan is one of them that I met during the ECM conference, and Nick as well. It's just one of the time that I met as well. So that is what I'm doing. And then going on, after the ECM, after I stepped down, I did something crazy. So I become a stalker on the internet again. Make sure I cut that, not anyone know that I'm a stalker. So after I stepped down from ECM, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle, like I'm older, but not old enough yet. If that makes sense. So you kind of like you have a little bit more experience, but you're not in the senior yet. So in the middle, I kind of like, I still want to learn and do something. So what I did was going to the ECM Historical Committee page, look for all the people on that list. Dan is one of them that being contacted by me. And then I just send an email to him and say, I finished my, the step down of the ECM. I still want to work in, I just want to know what other people is doing. Do you mind if we work together? And since then we worked together quite a lot for about two years now, right? And he bring me to a lot of places. He take me to like different conference and things like that. So I'm always grateful. He's like a mentor to me. So for me, another great thing happened. So going forward, so in 2023, June 2023, that is the time that I contact Ed and Nick. The reason is, I think it's the 8th of June 2004, isn't it? The first ECM conference. Yeah. So that was the day that the very first ECM conference ever happened. And I know that these 2 things is still in the ECM committee at that moment of time. So I contact them and say, hey, should we do something about that? And then, do you remember it's 1 year ago, so 2023. So what I did is, wait, if the first meeting that we got is 2004, so the 20th anniversary should be 2023, because you should have 20 different conference already. And then that 2 things said to me, no. And say that to me is like, well, you do not count things from 1, you need to count things from 0. So we have a debate for about half an hour, isn't it? Something like that. It should be a 20th university or 21 year. So, and then basically, and then we realized that actually, from a cultural point of view, Asian culture sometimes births start with 1, and West start with 0. So we're both right in the sense that it depends on how you're counting it. If you start with, the birthday of 1, that literally 21 years today, and if we're starting with 0, they will be 20. So literally, I need to prove myself with a Wikipedia page of them that why I counting from 1, and then they send me back with why they counting as 0. It's like, just like a girl wins sometimes. And yeah, so that is how it is. And then I want to say good on Nick, because Nick is the one who put that across to the council that we should celebrate that 20 years together. So it's really cool because it gives me an excuse to stalking people again, because they asked me to find out like who is in the committee and who else is still alive. And when I say alive, still active in the maths committee scene. And then, yeah, so that is what happened. So basically, and that started, and for me, it's a really cool group. Not like people like there that who still work in university and, lecturer and PhD and also, like all there. But being people in the industry is really cool thing that you're still learning by just networking and also just knowing what other people is doing as well. So that is one thing. Second thing for me is really cool is, at the moment I got my own company. So I'm a consultant working with industry. Majority is healthcare and pharmaceutical company that who doing data science work and also math work. But half of my time doing, I call them corporate client. So basically, any of them give me money to do well, I just do it. It's really horrible to say it like that. I love them, I promise you, but that is the case. But another half of my time, I'm supporting 7 different charities. So one of them is linked to, the reason why I mentioned is like, one of them is linked to a 17-year-old girl who set up a charity called Pioneer Math. She is only 17 at that moment of time. It's 2-3 years ago, and then she find me from the ECM website. And she knew that I'm active, and funny enough, I live down the road from her. So, and she is also Chinese too, so that is why it's kind of like doing that. So we have been doing a lot of like charity kind of work. Like she wants someone from like kind of like healthcare side and NHS side. So we do a lot of things together. Like we set up an NHS work experience day for the year 12 student who coming in. So funny enough, and one of my girl who was in the conference, like Ross met her before, and she explained that how her experience in the NHS is, and also she managed to publish a poster in one of the conference that IMA doing it. So she's only 13, year 13, so she's already got a poster out. So that is quite impressive. And for me, is I just want to use that experience. Like you guys say, they are earlier, but the thing is, you can start things earlier than that. And also, if you got a chance, you can also do it. Just not, how to say, I'm not saying that what she is doing is very advanced mathematics. It's not. She is only year 13. She is only doing her math, but she is using the data that managed to do a cancer analysis that is into the level when we show it into the audience, a lot of them did not believe that she is only year 13. Is that good? And one or two people come to me and say, if she's looking for a job, let them know, because they would definitely want that. So I think ECM would be a place for people like that. You don't know where to start, you don't know where to go. At least you got a group of people that you can ask questions. You don't need to ask it in an open forum like this. You can talk to us. And also, like James said before, we got a list of the people that you can find online, because like all the committee is already online and also historic as well. And LinkedIn is, I think you see our event in LinkedIn as well, right? So things like that, if you really want to talk to us, please contact. And also if you want to involve the ECM with different capacity, talk to the current committee and let them know that what is your idea. I'm not saying that they will do it, but you never know. Sometimes like the 20th anniversary, the argument between 20 and 21 become something that James and Ed is starting to working to make something happen. So, you never know. So that is my presentation, and hope that is okay. See, I told you I can do 25 minutes.
I guess I'll just conclude by saying that my experience in ECM and the IMA is very similar to Karrie. I've had great experiences since I graduated and joined the IMA. I'd encourage you all to do so. Get involved in some way. There's something for everybody, and you will meet like-minded people, and you will find out about careers in academia or industry or teaching. So there's something for everybody for sure.